Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. If you don't know me, my name is Sarah, and in today's video I will be showing you how to crochet these epic horns. Now this pattern can be used on any plushie, but I will be using it on this dragon, which is Willow the wood dragon. I'm sure by now most of you have seen this pattern, but in case you haven't, the written pattern will be linked in the description. I have both a PDF version in my coffee shop and a Ribbler version in my Ribbler shop. I would like to give you a quick disclaimer though and let you know that this is a more advanced technique, so if you have a hard time with it, please don't be afraid to pause the video, replay it if you need to, slow it down of course, and if you have any questions, leave them in the comments below and I will try and answer them as quickly as I can. This isn't technically a material since you can crochet the horns for any pattern like I already said, but you will need a Willow the wood dragon if you are making a willow. You can sew the parts on or you can wait and do the head portion first. I like to do the head portion last though. You also need both of your ears made. You don't want to sew these on until we sew the base of the horn on, and then we will add the ears and then finally tack down the rest of the horn. And then you'll also need two colors, a primary color and a secondary color. For my dragon, I'm going to be using cream as the primary color, this color right here. And then for the secondary color, I will be using this darker tan brown color. And I will also be using this size 4 Chanel yarn. I'm just gonna be using this to create my magic ring so they close up easier. Then I'll also be using these for attaching the horns. For tools, you're gonna need a crochet hook. I use a 5mm hook with this yarn, so use whatever hook you need. You can make this pattern in any yarn type, just use the correct hook size with it. You'll need a pair of scissors and a couple sewing needles. I have this nice long one and then this shorter plastic one. You'll also need some stuffing to stuff the horn once we are completely finished, but other than that, that is it for the materials list, and we're gonna get right into it now. The first thing we're going to crochet is the base of the horn, so I'm gonna go ahead and zoom you in a little bit so you can see better, and then we're gonna get started. For the base of the horn, we're going to start with a magic ring or your chain 2 method, whatever you prefer. And in that magic ring or your chain 2 method, you're going to single crochet 3. So I will be using my Chanel yarn for this. If you need any help with the basic tricks or techniques, tips and stuff, I will have all the extra help that I have on my channel. I'll link it in the description. Once you've single crocheted 3, go ahead and close up your magic ring. And now we're going to, for the next round, increase the next stitch, and then we're going to single crochet 2. And for the next round, we're going to increase and single crochet in the next 3 stitches. And at this point, I'm going to secure my magic ring with a few knots. And then I'm going to turn my horn right side out now. This is a little bit tricky because the magic ring is pretty small. For the next round, we're going to increase and then single crochet 4. And for the next round, we're going to increase, single crochet 5. And this is what we're looking like so far. For the next round, we're going to increase and then single crochet 6. And for the next round, we're going to increase, single crochet 7. And then for the next round, we're going to increase and then single crochet 8. And then for the next round, we're going to increase and single crochet 9. And we're finally going to mix it up a little bit, and we're going to increase, single crochet 4, then you're going to half double crochet twice, and then single crochet 4 more times. For the next round, we're going to increase, we're going to single crochet 4, then we will half double crochet 4 times, and then we will single crochet 3 times. Here's what we're looking like so far. You should be having a little bit of a curve. For the next round, we're going to single crochet, we're going to increase, and then we are going to single crochet 4, half double crochet 4, and then finally single crochet 3. For the next round, we are going to single crochet 2, then we will increase once, going to single crochet 4 times, and then we will half double crochet 4 times, and finally single crochet 3 times. That was our last increase round. Now we're going to single crochet 7 times, then we will half double crochet 6 times, and then we will single crochet twice, and we're going to repeat that round for 3 rounds total. And here are our 3 single crochet with some half double crochet rounds finished. For the next round, we're going to single crochet 8 times, then we will half double crochet 4 times, and finally single crochet 3 times. And now for the final round, we're going to single crochet 9 times, and then we will half double crochet twice, and finally single crochet 4 times. And here is our horn finished. You're gonna go ahead and make 2 of these, but also slip stitch, chain 1, and fasten off. If you're using a yarn that you can sew with really easily, you can cut a length of yarn, nice and long, but this yarn is gonna give me trouble. So I'm gonna cut a short end and join with my size 4 yarn later. Like I said, go ahead and make 2 of these total, and then we will move on to the ribbing portion. Using your secondary color, you're going to thread your needle, and you want to bring out a very long length of yarn. The longer the better at this point. That way you can hopefully not have to join more yarn in about halfway through or wherever you end up running out. But thread your needle. My yarn is a little bit on the falling apart side. As I embroider more and more, it's going to fall apart more, so I might have to join more on as I go. We're going to start at the bottom here, since it'll be the easiest place to start, and we're going to go right under our slip stitch and pull out a nice long length of yarn. Now you can cut the yarn off of your yarn, but I'm actually just going to leave it here because it'll give me the opportunity to join more if I need it. But what we're going to do is we're going to take our needle and we're going to go right back into that same stitch we just pulled our yarn through, and we're going to go right out into the stitch right next to it. You want to make sure you keep all your stitches really even and clean looking. We're just going to follow the natural spiral of the horn all the way up. What we're going to do is, using our thumb to hold the loop that we're making, we're going to pull our yarn through. And once it starts to get smaller, we're going to put our needle right through that loop and pull all of that yarn through. The longer the length of yarn you have, the harder this step will be, but also it prevents you from joining more yarn later, so in my opinion it's worth it. But what we're going to do is we're going to put our needle right back through that loop we made, down through that last stitch we put our needle through. I keep wanting to say crochet, but that's not accurate. And then we're going to come right out against the next stitch. Again, we're going to pull up our loop with our thumb in it so we don't pull it too tight, and then slip our needle under it, or through it, that's probably the better word, and then pull it gently but nice and tight. And you want to kind of try and keep an even tension throughout. And again, stick your needle through the loop, through that previous stitch, and then back out into that next stitch and create a loop. Put your thumb through it so you don't lose it. And you're just going to continue on with this method all the way around the horn. Because we didn't slip stitch or chain 1 at the end of each round, you're just going to follow the natural spiral and go up and up and up. For the half double crochets, I like to stay on the top of the half double crochet, because here you can kind of see there's this third loop here that a half double crochet has. I like to kind of stay on the top side just so that all my half double crochet loops are consistent. Doesn't need to be perfect though, because once you stuff it, it will even some things out. But since this is the exact same process all the way up the horn, I'm actually going to stop now and show you the other technique. The other technique, it gets a little bit harder the further you go up the horn, but it, in my opinion, does work up a lot faster. And if you don't like the way it's turning out, what you can do is slip your needle back through one of the loops, and instead of completing the loop like we've been doing, you can just go right through it, and then you can pull it right out if you don't like the way it looks. Which is also why you need to be careful when you hold the loop, because you don't want it to fall apart, especially the further up you go. That was the first technique, the embroidering technique. Now I'm going to show you the surface crochet. Like I said, this is my personal favorite. You don't have to join more yarn on as you work. What I'm going to do is stick my hook into that stitch, the same stitch that we started in with the embroidery technique, and we're going to put our yarn on our hook, and we're going to pull up a loop. And now, like I said, this gets harder the further up you go, but this first round should be fairly easy. You take your hook, you stick it through the next stitch, yarn over, and pull through all the loops. Kind of like you're slip stitching, but you're slip stitching through your piece. It's a lot cleaner. If you've ever tried to slip stitch on the surface, you may notice that there's 2 loops or 2 lines. This just prevents that completely, and it's much more consistent in my opinion than the embroidery. And like I said, it's a lot less time consuming because once you get the feel for it, it becomes really easy and fast. So I'm going to work on this until I get further up and I start struggling so that I can show you what I do when I get closer to the tip of the horn. Once I get further up, what I actually do is I just hold it like this and I use my hook to feel it instead. It is a little bit difficult at first because your grip isn't quite the same, but you really don't need to hold the yarn in a traditional way. But definitely once you get into the groove of things, it works up really quickly and you kind of just get a feel for it and emotion for it, and it starts to move pretty quickly. My last tip before I skip ahead is I recommend once you get closer to the top, actually pulling the ends, if you might have just one end, I'm not sure, but pulling all of the ends outside the horn. That way you're not constantly hooking the wrong end and pulling it through or getting hooked on a bunch of ends. I'm gonna go ahead and finish this horn up and then I will be showing you how I sew it on my Willow. Section really isn't necessary if you're using your horns on something else, but in case you're using it on Willow, I'll show you how I sew mine on. I have finished both my horns, here they are, and I'm going to be showing you how I attach them to my Willow. So I'll just show you the one side, but then you can repeat the process on the other side. The first thing I'm going to do though is I'm going to thread my needle with my yarn. Now because like I said earlier, this yarn falls apart easily, I'm just going to join with some size 4 yarn instead, and it should make this process easier. I'm just going to pull out a nice long length. You want a pretty long length of yarn because we're going to be doing a lot of sewing. And then I like to tie these ends together several times. I like to do it 4 times. And then I tuck those right into the horn, so they're out of my way. So now we're going to sew the base of the horn on first, and then we will attach the ears, and then we'll finally pin down the tip so that it curls nicely. So we'll start with the base of the horn, and you can work on either side of the head here, and you can pin this in place if you'd like. Experiment with placement, but I'm just going to start sewing. It'll be about 2 stitches away from the center of the head, and I want to be fairly close to the eyes, but not too close that it looks weird, of course. So kind of just centered with the decreases flat against the horn. Hopefully that makes sense. But I'm just gonna go ahead and start sewing the base of the horn down, and you kind of want to sew it in a bit more of an oval shape going towards the back. Not too crazy because you still want it to look circular, but just a little bit. Once I come all the way around the base of the horn, I actually like to go through it again, but this time what I like to do is take kind of like that post part of a stitch and sew through that as well. So hopefully you can kind of see what I mean here, and just go through all of those stitches. I find this gives a more seamless look, and I usually do this with all the parts of whatever I'm sewing together. And once you finish sewing the horn on, you can just drop that end for now. We're going to use it in a minute here. I'm going to attach the ear, so just go ahead and thread your needle with the ear. You can just sew it on in pretty much the same place like the regular pattern, but I'm just going to be sewing it slightly on the inside of the horn like this. It's a little bit harder to see because this yarn is dark, but I'm just going to sew this ear on as normal, and then when I'm done with the ear, I will weave in my end because I won't need it anymore. And here's the ear attached. I ended up sewing it a little bit onto the horn. This is what I normally do with my willows anyway, so I think that that will help it a little bit. But usually what I do next is I will curve the horn down, which can be a little difficult, and then I will attach this third round right here to pretty much the base of the ear. But I think I'm going to leave my horn like this for this dragon because I think it looks really cool. So I will just be weaving my end in. I will include a clip now of what this dragon looks like when it is fully finished. That way you all can see it with its horns and everything. Thank you so much for watching to the end of this video. I appreciate each and every one of you so very much. I hope you all enjoy making these horns, whether it is for Willow or if it is for another pattern of yours. Let me know in the comments below if you made these horns, if you liked making them, of course. I always love to know that. But what project you used it on, I'd love to hear all about it. Thank you so much for watching, like I said, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!